Welcome to the Fourth Branch program, the place for common sense. Today is Friday, July 19, 2019. I am MD. In 60 seconds, we will explain to you what, if anything, can be done about the state of the United States. You may have received or will receive shortly a note that says, America is in crisis. Do not let it become a tragedy. In just 60 seconds, we will explain. Stay with me. Live from New York City, at the top of the hour, every weekday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., the Fourth Branch presents discussion, debate, commentary on social, political issues, current events, sports, entertainment, religion, education, science, and every Saturday at 10:30 a.m. for a full presentation on controversial issues such as abortion, homosexuality, war on blacks. Are Republicans dumber than Democrats? Information which might irritate you, make you cry, make you laugh, but above all, will make you smarter. Join us every time. It is the right thing to do. It is the only way to keep your sanity in a world of chaos, hypocrisy, immorality, and deception. Welcome to Common Sense. Welcome once again to the Fourth Branch program. If you've been here before, thank you. Your participation makes the journey a little bit lighter, a tad more bearable. If you join us for the first time, once again, welcome to the Fourth Branch program. The Fourth Branch program is not associated with any political party, and we at the Fourth Branch do not have any political aspiration. Our ultimate objective is to perfect the union, and in order to do so, we ought to remove the biggest obstacle of all: ignorance. JFK said that the ignorance of one voter in a democracy impairs the security of us all. Thus, the importance to eradicate ignorance from our society, from our way of life. Today, we will continue with the reading of the Mueller report. If you've been watching, if you've been following us, we are currently reading volume 2 of the Mueller report. Also, a note that on July 24th, that's next Wednesday, Robert Mueller will be on Capitol Hill to provide some sort of clarification on the report. since he has released the report, there have been many interpretations, but most specifically by the Attorney General, who from the onset tried to spin the report and said something different from what Mueller reported. You may recall the Mueller investigation began on May 17, 2017. He had two very specific missions. One, to find out, well, at first it was just one mission, to find out how a foreign government, number one enemy of the United States, managed to infiltrate our election system. That was his mandate. However, while he was doing the job, the President of the United States, the very individual whose job is to provide him, Robert Mueller, the resources to do that job, because the President of the United States took an oath on January 20th, 2017, not only to uphold the Constitution of the United States, but to defend the country from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And here it was, Robert Mueller tasked to find out not only how it happened, but who was involved. Instead of providing resources, instead of helping the process along, the President of the United States was the major culprit in preventing the investigation from moving forward. As such, apart from his mandate, which was to find out how that happened, how a foreign enemy managed to do that, Robert Mueller also had to investigate the obstruction of justice by the President of the United States. As such, when the report was released, there were two volumes. Volume 1, which we completed already a few weeks ago, which provided detailed, minute, excruciating detail as to how Russia, the United States' number one enemy, managed to infiltrate our system of government. And Volume 2, which we are currently reading, providing detail as to how, to what extent the President of the United States had gone to prevent the investigation from being completed, to prevent witnesses from providing information, to threaten witnesses, to bribe witnesses, to offer witnesses a way out in exchange for not providing correct information to the special counsel. We will talk about all that. But before, we will address another aspect of the conversation about our president. America has been in constant turmoil for the past couple of years. 2+ years now, going into 3. It is not turmoil caused by a foreign government. It is not turmoil caused because the United States of America is at war. It is not turmoil caused by a tragedy, but rather by the very individual, the President of the United States, whose primary job is to actually stave off those things from our country. How about that for making America great again? The very individual who took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States is the individual who is at the helm of undoing everything which has warranted our freedom for the past 200 years. It is not an observation made by me because I'm the smartest individual on earth or I'm the smartest individual here in the United States. That particular observation has been made by everybody, even including individuals who do not live in the United States. We do not elect president to cause more problems. We do not have leaders to make a situation worse. A leader is supposed to be a role model, to be someone that we can point the upcoming generation to as a model to follow. Can any individual in the United States of America or in the world for that matter point to Donald Trump as a role model? Can anyone, including his supporters, point to Donald Trump as a role model for your children and your grandchildren? Can you? Aside from being the worst thing that has happened to this country, to the world perhaps, a couple of days ago, at a rally in North Carolina, the President of the United States, as he did in 2016, using racist behavior, racist language, to start his election again in 2019, Sleazy Don returned to the same book, racism, in order to propel his candidacy, his re-election campaign this time. Now let me give you just a quick look at what happened during that rally. He used Ilhan Omar, a fresh woman in the House from Minnesota who happened to be of a Muslim, just as he used Mexican as rapists. He used blacks as criminals to propel his campaign in 2016. Now he's back at it again, using racism as his platform. But that's not all. We'll come right back to talk about that in just a moment. But let's take a quick look at Donald Trump stalking the audience, inciting the audience into violence towards Ilhan Omar and 3 other Democrat women, that's Ocasio-Cortez, Ayanna Pressley, and Tlaib from Michigan. All 4 of those individuals are fresh women who won in the 2018 midterm election, and all of them happen to be in the minority class. Let's take a look and we'll come back to talk about that.
Representative Ilhan Omar. They can leave, they can stay.
If you talk to any of those individuals who were at that rally, they will tell you unequivocally they're not racist. what else would they say? What else would you expect them to say? We know, we in the country and across the world know that Donald Trump is a racist, is a bigot. There is no if and but about it. There is no ambiguity about it. Everybody knows that. It's an established fact. And it's not something that we're finding out today. Donald Trump started his 2016 campaign accusing Mexicans of being rapists and continue on until November 8, 2016. Since 2013, I've been writing about the fact that the Republican Party, most individuals in the Republican Party are racist. I've been writing about that. I am unabashed by the fact that I have observed, I have interacted, I have talked to, I have exchanges with Republicans from various social classes. And I have come to that conclusion a very long time ago, that most individuals in the Republican Party are racist. Now, it took a while for the rest of the country to catch up. And we have one individual to thank for that, Donald Trump. Because as bad as he is, as racist as he is, he has helped the country not only find out, but understood that half the country, a political party, most people in a political party are blatantly racist. We're not talking about white nationalists here. We're not talking about KKK members here. We're talking about regular, everyday individuals who pretend to be, not to be, and who would tell you, who would swear on their mother's grave that they're not racist, and yet you put them in the circumstance for them to show that they are not racist, and the true colors comes out. And the reason is simple, is because as human, we always, whatever we are, always come out. We cannot hide it for long. But in the case of the Republican constituent, it is nothing new to me personally, as I mentioned. And it should have not been to anyone, because Donald Trump is in the Oval Office. As I mentioned yesterday, it wasn't a few people who voted Donald Trump in office. All those individuals who voted Donald Trump in office, they attended his rallies during the 2016. They heard him talking about different groups of minority groups. They heard him. They cheered him. They chanted for him. Those people knew exactly what they were getting into. And they loved it. So I know that there are a lot of people, especially in the media, who try to dance at saying that, well, Republicans, some Republicans are racist, but not all Republicans. In fact, yesterday I watched that gentleman when Nicole Wallace asked the guy, after showing that tape that I just showed you, as to whether those people who attended that rally chanting "send her back" are racist, and he had difficulty coming to that conclusion because he didn't want to say yes they are and have to later explain. What to explain? those people weren't chanting anything good. They weren't chanting anything that elevated the country. They were chanting racial epithet, racial overtone. They were saying things that clearly say they are racist. What exactly do you gain by trying to dance around the issue? In order to solve a problem, it has to be acknowledged. We saw on display at a rally in North Carolina the racists who belong to the Republican Party. All of them in on it, chanting, but they go to work tomorrow and they ask them, are you racist? They would swear up and down they're not. Don't tell me who you are. Show me. You've been supporting Donald Trump. You elected Donald Trump as the 45th president of the United States, knowing he's a racist, knowing he started his campaign using racism as a platform. You elected him in office. You continue to support him despite the fact that for 2 years since he's been in the Oval Office, that's all he's been doing, using racial divide argument, language, not only for the people here in the United States, but for people across the world. You've been supporting him. You've been defending him. It's hard for you to come back and say, oh, I'm not racist. You may not be a white nationalist. You may have not gotten to that point yet, but you are unequivocally racist. If you are a Republican supporting Donald Trump, defending Donald Trump, whether you are a legislator or a constituent, you cannot get out and you cannot have your cake and eat it too. You cannot want to pretend that you're not racist and at the same time supporting a racist individual who are doing racist thing, talking racist language, and at the same time you're saying, oh, I'm not racist. Just because people in the media are dancing around the issue doesn't make any Republicans supporting Donald Trump, whether the legislators in Washington or the constituent, any less racist. They are categorically racist. And that need to be said, that need to be in the conversation in America for the country to understand that there is something that ought to be done to eradicate racism from within our society. Dancing, and the reason that it is still pervasive, it is still so widespread in our country is because for so long everybody has been dancing around the issue. We know those individuals are racist, but we're dancing around the issues. Yes, Republicans, if you supported Donald Trump, because you could have supported Donald Trump and think, okay, well, that was campaign language, because I heard that argument. I don't buy it, but I heard it, and I said, okay, let's see what they do next. That was campaign language. He used that. Now he got elected. Then I'm sure as president he's gonna be a different person. Is he? So no, we cannot give racist individual a pass because, well, it's not good for business. The Civil War did not happen because a few people think slavery should be legal, should stay. Millions of people felt that way. Millions of people wanted it that way. That's why the Civil War happened. Today, again, we are at another crossroad in the history of the United States. We have in the Oval Office an openly racist president, individual, who, since he got there, he has done nothing except to divide the country in racial line. Now you have again another election coming, and he's using the same playbook to run for re-election, and we have the same Republican racists who supported back to the exact same thing, chanting racist, using, behaving as they did in 2016. And the rest of the country is dancing around the issue. They don't want to say they're racist. They are racist. People do not behave or do things against their own interest. They do not act or talk a language that they have no knowledge of, no idea what that language is. They were raised in an environment for quite some time. Our society moving forward has suppressed the way that they felt as racist, because it is wrong. But here came Donald Trump saying it's okay to be racist, it's okay to express it, it's okay to be open with it. And they all came out and they showing that. That's not an accident that you've seen all those people rallying behind Donald Trump, chanting those kind of racial. You think if someone were to simply interested in an individual because, well, the individual is doing something that you like. For instance, you can say, well, the economy is great. I like Donald Trump because of the economy. Okay, I'll buy that. You go to a rally and you heard him stoking violence, inciting violence, talking about fellow American citizen the way that he did at that rally, and you stood on your feet and you're chanting, but you want the rest of us to say, to agree you're not racist? Or you was just chanting? My fellow Republicans, you have been hiding your racist behavior for a very long time. Now, I don't care whether someone is racist or the person doesn't like me, but when you put your racism in display, what you are doing is you're destroying the society. You're altering, not for a good reason, the fabric of our society. That means you become useless to society because you're not helping society in a good way. There is nowhere in the history of humankind of mankind that anyone can point to that racism was something good that happened. Not since we've been recorded mankind on the face of this planet. There is absolutely nothing good that's written, that's recorded, that says, you know what, because of racism, that great thing happened in history. Everything that's recorded about racism is bad. So there is nothing good to like about racist. And it is time the country catches up with the fact that we have a crisis in the United States of America. The reason the problem has lasted for so long, since Donald Trump has occupied the Oval Office, is because as a society, we acted in a very simple fashion. We'd like to simplify things, so we put all the blames on Donald Trump. Oh, Donald Trump is a scumbag, a sleazebag. There is no bones, no doubt about that. I'm not condoning Donald Trump behavior. But we spend all our time blaming Donald Trump for the ill of our society, blaming Donald Trump for the division, for the divide in the country, because we like to simplify things. So Donald Trump is the easiest target. So we point fingers to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not our problem. Consider following. Just like most, I guess, I don't want to say really most, but a lot of children, youngsters in school got bullied. Just like all those victims, I personally was also bullied. But there's something good going on for me. My parents always used to tell us that unless someone touches you, physically attack you, no matter what the person says, you can ignore, because the person is not talking to you, calling you names, say bad things about you. None of that impacts you in any way, shape, or form. And it so happens, it works. I was given all the names in the book. It didn't do anything to me personally. But that's not the reason I mentioned this to you, because I'm not talking about bully here. I mention it because I want to make a very important point. You see, Donald Trump became president of the United States because there are millions of racist individuals in the country who voted for him and placed him in the Oval Office. Now, if all those individuals who claim to be Christian, who claim to have family values, who claim to have moral values, who claim to be Christian, if all those people didn't have what they claim to have, when Donald Trump ran for the presidency of the United States, he would have had to exit as quickly as he entered the race, because those individuals, all those individuals who supported him and who later on voted for him, would not have, because they would show that they have family values, they would show that they have moral values, they would show that they are Christian. They could not possibly stand for something as ridiculous as Donald Trump. So they would not have voted for him. They would have not supported him. He would have gone away. That's not what happened. When I got bullied, I didn't answer. I didn't pay anything. I went about my business. The bullied got away. They went and bullied somebody else. That's just the way it works. So you cannot claim to be something and act differently. The Bible clearly tells us words without actions are worthless. Faith without action, actually, the Bible says. But words are worth absolutely nothing if you don't back it up with action. Telling me you're not racist does mean squat to me. You voted for Donald Trump, you supported Donald Trump, you continue to defend Donald Trump, now you back at Donald Trump rally, cheating with Donald Trump. You're not racist? Just because you're getting a pass from the media and they're dancing around the issue, well, it is very clear, and thanks to Donald Trump, now we see in display the whole Republican Party as a party, a haven of racists. Now, as I mentioned, that is not news to me. I've been writing about that since 2013, that the Republican Party is a haven of and for racists. The rest of the country is catching up now. Now, why is it important to say that? Could have said, well, so what? You know that now, then what are you going to do about that? I'm glad to ask. I invite you to join me again tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. to continue the conversation about America in crisis. We will come back to continue with the reading of the Mueller report shortly. Don't go anywhere. In 1996, a small network by the name of Fox News was launched with just 17 million viewers. Today, With over 100 million people watching regularly, Fox has become the greatest threat to our democracy, constantly bombarding the airwaves with false information, distortion of facts, and outright lies presented to its audience as news. Fox has created an army of blissful ignorance. According to a survey, 82% of Fox viewers are ignorant of facts and the truth. To keep millions of people in ignorance not only prevents democracy from flourishing, but it also clears the path to authoritarianism, to dictatorship. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Nothing in all the world is more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity." Let me finish by saying that democracy cannot survive in an environment where truth and facts do not matter. At Fox, truth and facts do not matter. Indeed, democracy in America is in jeopardy. It is a crisis the country can no longer ignore. It is a reminder that on July 24th, 2019, that's next Wednesday, Robert Mueller will be on Capitol Hill to talk about, well, what else? The Mueller report, to give some clarification. As we mentioned before, we will start reading of the Mueller report on Tuesday, assuming that the 24th date is with her, if is held for Mueller to show up on Capitol Hill. And the reason we made that decision is, well, we believe if Mueller, if the under questioning, if there is no clarification, if the public still walk away confused, we believe there is no amount of reading that can help, because the architect of the report will be there, and those questioning him should at least provide a platform so that answers can be provided, and individuals who are not versed in legal terms, who are not versed in Mueller's language, can understand clearly what the report is about. Here's what we know so far: that Mueller was tasked to investigate Russia's meddling in the 26th election. That was his mandate. That's it. However, as I mentioned earlier, during the process of doing so, he encountered many problems, including obstruction of justice by the President of the United States. So, second aspect of the investigation was also added to his task: obstruction of justice. When he completed his work, he released to the Department of Justice two documents. One, volume 1, 448 pages, which we already read here. I strongly encourage you to visit the People Branch YouTube for archive of the reading of the Mueller report. Now we're reading volume 2, which addresses obstruction justice by the President of the United States. In case the expression obstruction of justice doesn't sound bad, it is a crime in the United States. And previous presidents, such as Bill Clinton, was impeached because of obstruction of justice. He lied to the independent counsel, and he was trying to prevent the investigation from moving forward. So obstruction of justice is a crime. And by the way, that's just in addition to all other wrongdoing, campaign financing and so on. Just a couple of days ago, the judge had released document that showed that Donald Trump was indeed a co-conspirator with Michael Cohen, who currently sits in jail, meaning he's a criminal. Forget about Robert Mueller for a moment. Donald Trump, the 45th president of the United States, is a criminal, and the only reason he's not indicted is because the Department of Justice, DOJ, had a rule that you do not indict a sitting president. That's the only reason, which means you who are currently supporting Donald Trump, cheating for his re-election, you are saying it is okay to have a criminal sitting in the Oval Office. That's exactly what you're saying. Interestingly enough, the Republican Party always a party of law, a party who wants to defend the Constitution. And today, you have the whole Republican Party, legislator and constituent alike, all of them are lining behind Donald Trump, a criminal, and say, oh, we don't have a problem having a criminal as our leader and president of the United States. Unbelievable.
The order appointing me special counsel authorized us to investigate actions that could obstruct the investigation. And we conducted that investigation, and we kept the office of the acting attorney general apprised of the progress of our work. And as set forth in the report, after that investigation, if we had had confidence that the president clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so.
If we had confidence that the president did not commit a crime, we would have said so. How is your English? On February 14, 2017, the day after Flynn's resignation, and this part, which is number 7 in the list of items that Robert Mueller providing as explaining the I guess the details surrounding the obstruction of justice. The president discusses with FBI director. We read most of this paragraph before, but yesterday we stopped short of considering because, well, that was the end of the program, and also that was the end of that section in the report. So we start from there. On February 14, 2017, the day after Flynn's resignation, the president had lunch at the White House with New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. According to Christie, at one point during the lunch, the president said, quote, Now that we fired Flynn, the Russian thing is over. End quote. Christie laughed and responded, "No way." And he said, quote, the president that is, this Russia, actually Christie's Russia thing is far from over. And we'll be here on Valentine's Day 2018 talking about this. The president said, quote, "What do you mean? Flynn met with the Russian, that was the problem. I fired Flynn, it's over." End of quote. Christie recalled responding that based on his experience, both as a prosecutor and as someone who had been investigated, firing Flynn would not end the investigation. Christie said there was no way to make an investigation shorter, a lot of ways to make it longer. Christie must have been a prophet. Oh no, that's not part of the report. The president asked Christie what he meant, and Christie told the president not to talk about the investigation, even if he was frustrated at times. Christie also told the president that he would never be able to get rid of Flynn, quote, like gum on the bottom of your shoes, end of quote. Towards the end of the lunch, the president brought up Comey and asked if Christie was still friendly. Christie said he was. The president told Christie to call Comey and tell him that the president, quote, really like him. Tell him he's part of the team, end of quote. At the end of the lunch, the president repeated his request that Christie reach out to Comey. Christie had no intention of complying with the president's request that he contact Comey. He thought the request was, quote, nonsensical, and Christie did not want to put Comey in the position of having to receive such a phone call. Christie thought it would have been uncomfortable to pass on that message. At 4 p.m. that afternoon, the president met with Comey, Sessions, and other officials for a Homeland Security briefing. At the end of the briefing, the president dismissed the other attendees and stated that he wanted to speak to Comey alone. Sessions and senior advisor to the president, Jared Kushner, remained in the Oval Office as other participants left. But the president excused them, repeating that he wanted to speak with Comey alone. At some point after others had left the Oval Office, Priebus opened the door, but the president sent him away. Remember, Priebus was chief of staff. The president sent him away. Of course, what he had to tell Comey, nobody could hear it. Deniability. According to Comey's account of the meeting, once they were alone, the president began the conversation by saying, quote, "I want to talk about Flynn," end of quote. The president stated that Flynn had not done anything wrong to speak with the Russian, but had to be terminated because he had misled the vice president. The conversation turned to the topics of leaks of classified information, but the president returned to Flynn saying, quote, "He's a good guy and has been through a lot," end of quote. The president stated, quote, "I hope you can see your way clear to letting things go, to letting this go, to letting him go. He's a good guy. I hope you can let this go," end of quote. Comey agreed that, quote, Flynn is a good guy, but did not commit to ending the investigation of Flynn. Comey did testify under oath that he took the president's statement, quote, as a direction, end of quote, because the president's position and the circumstances of the one-on-one meeting. Now, if you guess the reason the president got rid of everybody is deniability. It's not part of the report. It's me making that comment. Because if there are too many people there, the president would tell him, Mr. President, you cannot do that. You cannot say that. But he wants to make sure that if Comey comes out with the information, he can say, no, I never said any such thing. That's called obstruction of justice. Now back to the report. Shortly after meeting with the president, Comey began drafting a memorandum documenting their conversation. Comey also met with his senior leadership team to discuss the president's request, and they agreed not to inform FBI officials working on the Flynn case of the president's statement, so the official would not be influenced by the request. Comey also asked for a meeting with Sessions and requested that Sessions not leave Comey alone with the president again. The media raises questions about the president's delay in terminating Flynn. After Flynn was forced to resign, the press raised questions about why the president waited more than 2 weeks after the DOJ notification to remove Flynn, and whether the president had known about Flynn's contact with Kislyak before the DOJ notification. The press also continued to raise questions about connection between Russia and the president. On February 15, 2017, the president told reporters, quote, General Flynn is a wonderful man. I think he's been treated very, very unfairly by the media, end of quote. On February 16, 2017, the president held a press conference and said that he removed Flynn because Flynn, quote, didn't tell the vice president of the United States the facts, and then he didn't remember. And that just wasn't acceptable to me, end of quote. Go figure. A liar found out that someone lying is a problem. Unbelievable. The president said he did not direct Flynn to discuss sanctions with Kislyak, but, quote, it certainly would have been okay with me if he did. I would have directed it if I thought he wasn't doing it. I didn't direct him, but I would have directed him because that's his job, end of quote. In listing the reason for terminating Flynn, the president did not say that Flynn had lied to him. The president also denied having any connection to Russia, stating, quote, I have nothing to do with Russia. I told you, I have no deals with there. I have no anything, end of quote. The president also said he, quote, had nothing to do with WikiLeaks' publication of information hacked from the Clinton campaign.
The order appointing me special counsel authorized us to investigate actions that could obstruct the investigation. And we conducted that investigation, and we kept the office of the acting attorney general apprised of the progress of our work. And as set forth in the report, after that investigation, if we had had confidence that the president clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so.
If we had confidence that the president did not commit a crime, we would have said so. How is your English? If we had confidence that the president did not commit a crime, we would have said so. You are a patriot. You cannot not be outraged, because this is not a matter of being Democrat or being Republican, because the very reason that our democracy survives because of that very structure of our government. The minute that you don't have any oversight, then at that point the idea of democracy in the United States of America ceases to exist. So if you are a Republican and you think it's okay, then you too are no patriot. There is no other word of saying it. No matter what you hear people saying, trying to sugarcoat, trying to go on to explain it to you, that's all it means. If you are okay with what is currently going on with Donald Trump, with the Republican Party, you categorically are not a patriot. And to think of yourself, you are not a patriot. Because a patriot is someone who would give or who would make sacrifice sometimes of his or her own life, let alone sacrifice a political party in order to preserve the democracy, in order to preserve the Constitution, in order to preserve the rule of law. So if you cannot do that, don't talk to anyone about being patriot, because you are no patriot. Thank you for spending the time with me. I hope this was of some use to you. If not, you already know what to do. Send us your comments, criticism, suggestion. Tell us how to do it better. As I always said, this is not going anywhere. You might as well help make it better. In the meantime, if you have a particular topic you would like us to talk about, let us know. We will research it, we will debate it right here on the Fourth Branch program, the place for common sense. Also a note, next week we will talk about a very important, and by important I mean extremely important topic. That's something that the EPA, the Trump EPA is doing, that's going to affect your children's health. And you need to find out, you need to hear that. How the government that's supposed to work to protect us, to protect the environment, to protect our children, actually are working against that. One more reason that you have to get rid of that lunatic from the Oval Office. I hope you have a fantastic afternoon, and hopefully join me again tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. for another interesting episode of this program. Good day. That was an update through the prism of common sense. Join us again tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. for a full presentation. I am MD, host of the Fourth Branch program, the place for common sense. Send us comments, criticism, suggestion, or simply let us know how we're doing. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful afternoon. See you next time. Fourth Branch podcast is brought to you in collaboration with the People Branch publication, which can be found on the People Branch website, located at peoplebranch.org. That's peoplebranch.org. That's peoplebranch.org website, in which you will find a number of very interesting articles. My name is Mike Chen, MD for short. I hope you have a great afternoon or a great evening, whichever it happens to be. Hopefully you can join me again next time for another interesting episode of this podcast. That was the Fourth Branch, live from New York. Good day.